Welcome back to the Forensics Unplugged channel, guys. We're rolling from one video straight into another, so I'm in full presenter mode flow. I want to do a video today on the exciting subject of how to rub off polish from your car and how to hold the cloth in particular. It's just a very quick tip I'm going to give you. My tip is to use these soft open pile cloths. These are Imrans ones, the cheap ones. These were, I think you can get them for $165 or $195 a cloth if you buy 10. Phenomenal. Love those, and I look after those. I've also got eagle edgeless ones there. They're great as well. Open pile, shaggy cloths, like little mops. And here I'm just using an edgeless, normal microfiber cloth that more people are more likely to have. Okay, the first tip, guys, is you want the cloth flat. And I've seen this when I've had my mates around polishing their cars for them. Never tell someone you know how to polish a car, you'll be polishing everyone's cars. Is they just grab a microfiber, they grab it into a ball, plonk it on the panel, and they're buffing like crazy. Well, that's not a good idea. You don't want to be using the edges of cloths. Even on edgeless cloths, they have an edge, and the cut edge can be a bit rougher than the nap of the cloth. So the first tip is really the cloth should be set down flat on a panel. Okay, now hopefully you can see this. Ah, Jesus. Now I'm taking a big risk. I'm going to do this all one-handed, which is always a pain. So fold your cloth 4 ways, guys. So we put it down there on the panel. We fold it over. And that way as well, whenever you pick up polish, the surface of the microfiber is going to get saturated in product. And when it's got loads of polish on it and you're trying to buff off more, the microfiber cloth becomes less effective. And this isn't BS. You'll start seeing, if you've got the right light, when you go to take off polish, you're actually smearing it and moving it around. That's the microfiber getting, kind of the surface getting flooded in polish. You've got to flip over the cloth. You know, that's pretty obvious stuff. Now, here's my tip. When you fold your cloth 4 ways, one corner, and it's this corner here, will have all 4 little loose, things. If you go to the other corners, you've got fold there, you've got 2 folds there, 2 folds there, and then 1 fold here. So it's the bit with 4 cloths. What you can do is I need to put this thing down, is get that corner with the 4 edges, if you like, and put that in the gap in your thumb, and then just pinch your thumb on the corner, because those 4 edges are prone to folding back over themselves. Then put your microfiber cloth down flat on the panel, and you see you've got the bit that you pinch there, and that would just mean when you've got loads of product, especially grippy compound, which is harder to buff, when you buff with your cloth, it can't scrunch up and ball up on you, so you keep a nice flat microfiber. That's what I do. Now, put it down on the surface and just buff in little circles. You do go quite quickly, and you're just looking to pick up the polish really lightly with no pressure. So that's the key thing, no pressure. I'm buffing in circles and I'm just working my way across. Now this cloth's in the way, which was a bit dumb. I would have just moved that if I wasn't doing the demo, but I can get around that. Okay, and then just go back over the area that you've polished as well. Okay, and that will pick it up. And then just onto the next bit. Gentle little circles. Slower than you think, guys. It takes a bit longer to pick up polish than you think. And just work your way along. So I can see, as I'm going, it's smearing more as I'm picking up more product. So really, now, the next time I want to pick up polish, I need to flip the cloth. So I flip over, and that side is now defunct, and you've got to try and remember. You've got to try and remember which sides you've used. And I can just give this one final wipe over with a clean side. And that is enough for the polish off, okay? If you want to go further and inspect, then what you should do is get your IPA. At this point, there's no point in spraying your IPA or your panel wipe on top of all of that greasy product, you just make a mess. Pick 99% of it up first and then spray your panel wipe there on it and use a clean side of the microfiber and buff it out. You don't need to use a lot of the panel wipe. You want to sort of buff it before the panel wipe all flashes away. Once it flashes away, it's kind of served its purpose. So you want to just kind of buff it before it flashes. Not always, it's very hard to do. Very hot day, it will just flash instantly. One of the advantages of IPA, even though it gets a bad rap, is, especially in the UK, if you're using hydrocarbons and stuff like that, some of them won't flash off the panels, you know, like unless the temperature's above 10 degrees, maybe even 15 degrees, maybe even higher, if it's a slow panel wipe. So they're designed to be used in workshop environments where, you know, a body shop where it's heated and stuff like that. But in my garage, for half the year, it's probably less than 10 degrees. So if I'm using a hydrocarbon and buffing it, okay, it looks like I've buffed it all off and I've done my job. But if I spritz water over the top of the panel, if I just don't polish, just wipe a section of panel with a hydrocarbon degreaser in the winter and then spray water on it after you've buffed it, it looks like you've put a fresh wax down because the hydrocarbon has not vaped off of the panel, even though you can't see it. And it's water repellent and they don't mix with water. So the great advantage with alcohol solvent is it has a very low flash point and a very fast evaporation rate, and it does break down oils. It's a very effective solvent at breaking down oils, alcohol solvent. It is true though, you don't want to use the concentration. With any solvent, the concentration of it is very important, and really 30% is probably what you're going to need to knock out a very oily, heavy cutting compound, and you could go down to sort of as little as 20% product to water. If you've got, you know, if you're just doing lighter inspections where you've really got virtually all of the product open, that's going to come down to personal preference. When you get above 70%, I was speaking to Koch about this, when you use more than 70% pure alcohol solvent on softer paints, that is a point where you could, the strength of the solvent there, the concentration could damage the clear coat. So don't take any risks, water it right down to between 20 and 30%, you'll be absolutely fine. And that makes it incredible value for money. You can, I think I could talk more about solvents if you wanted panel wipe type solvents. I've talked about them quite a lot though. You have the mineral spirit based ones. They're typically all blends, aren't they, as well? They're not just one or the other. But typically you have mineral spirits, you know, hydrocarbons based ones. You have alcohol solvent based ones, which is most of them. And you have surfactant based degreasers, which is a third type. So you can say like Surfex HD is a surfactant based degreaser. And you could use that. The problem with surfactants as well is they tend to need to be rinsed. You know, they're not materials which always flash away. So there's all different problems really. And the biggest problem is not how effective these things are at breaking down oils or how harsh they are on paintwork. It is you want no trace of that material left on the panel. That's your biggest consideration with surface preparation. I've talked about, you know, the industry's offering of degreasers and been a little bit critical of the detailing scene because I feel it's degreaser panel wipe products are overpriced, in my opinion. You know, I don't want to pay 50 quid for 5 litres of degreaser when there's brands that charge me 11 quid or 15 quid. You know, or even the Koch Chemi one, 25 quid. This is alcohol based and it's somewhere between 80 and 100%. So let's say 90% alcohol. It does have some other little things in there, but it's best just to think of this as IPA. So the question in my head is it worth using this, or is it just worth buying normal IPA and mixing it up yourself? Well, I don't think it's going to make that much difference. You could probably save yourself a small amount of money just buying raw IPA So I don't think it's going to make any difference if you're looking for that. But I might just buy it off Koch, because I use their abrasives. Well, that's going to last me bloody years, that is. I'll have to edit that out. It's going to last me years, that is. So it doesn't really matter. There you go, guys. That is a small thing on how to wipe off polish from your paintwork. And it is an important thing. A very important thing. I was talking to my patrons. You can even choose to do a wash on your car after you've polished it all, to get some of those polishing oils off using a detergent, surfactant, you know, hot water and a surfactant. And then the problem is, after you polish it, then you've got to dry the bloody thing. You've got to dry the thing. I can't stop swearing. After you've dried it, you probably want to panel wipe it after that anyway. So a lot of people just polish and panel wipe, but yeah, it's an interesting one. That's why this primer polish I think is quite handy, because I'm using the primer polish. Is I just do a panel wipe down after my polish, and then I use the Q2 primer and buff it and leave it 24 hours. Now for some people that's going to be a major problem, that delay. But the way I'm working at the moment, it's actually fitting in, because when I finish polishing all my area for the day, I'll have that roof done there, I'll have that quarter panel done there, and I'll probably get the bonnet done today as well, and that will leave me that wing and the other side of the car to do tomorrow. And then another day I'll do the front bonnet and the rear tailgate. I'm just breaking it down into sort of 3 or 4 hour sections. But when I finish for the day, what I do is I quickly go over, slap that white pad on, roll the primer out, a very thin layer of the primer, very thin, work it very quickly, buff it, and it starts going all nice and silky. Make sure I buff it so there's no patching. Come back 24 hours later, the paintwork feels amazing, and it's primed, so it's ready to take a coating. So it's quite a good way of doing it. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.